That's right, everybody. We're here on YouTube with a little bit of growing pains, but we're figuring it out here on All In Nintendo Podcast, the weekly Nintendo variety show, where each and every Saturday, no shells left unturned and no point is left unearned. As I said, we're here on YouTube for the first time ever streaming our segments of our shows. We do every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we moved, as we announced last week, we moved away from Twitch, and we're here now on YouTube figuring things out. So,
Hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. Everybody, shout outs to everybody who's watching us live. Already got a couple of people here filing in, and we super appreciate y'all. But Eric, you know who else we super appreciate?
Who, Seth?
We super appreciate our patrons.
Yes,
our patrons over at patreon.com/allinpodcast, where we have got a bunch of amazing people who are offering their support, and at the Golden Banana and Triforce tier over there.
A bunch of golden bananas, you
might
say.
I like that. How have we never had that happen before? We've never thought of that before. Wow. We do. We have a bunch of golden bananas over there. Starting with our golden banana tier patrons, we want to shout out Dan Caparello of the Retro Logic podcast. We want to shout out Solo Something, a fine looking man, of course. We want to shout out Solo Something of the Film Logic podcast. Rob Yapel, longtime friend and supporter. Third Strongest Mold, the third strongest co-host of the Retro Logic podcast. Sean Ashton, Sean O'Baggins himself. Tim A, aka NeoPrime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4. Matt Murray, Shy Guy, both of them members of the Shy Guy Mod Squad. And Drew Agnew, the handsome host of the now solo podcast, the House of Mario podcast. And moving into all of them fine looking men, all of them great people to boot, and we're super thankful for them. But moving into our Triforce tier patrons, we actually have got a couple of interesting things here. So starting off as always with Josh Vaughn, who's another longtime friend and supporter. John Cummins of the Retro Logic podcast recently upgraded to the Triforce tier, so thank you for that, John. We really appreciate that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, he got the Triforce. Of course, the globetrotting jet setting Sparky, as always, who just actually launched his own YouTube channel called the Nintendo Hub. And good old Sparky, man, I gotta hand it to him. It's really high quality stuff, and it is actually pinned on our channel. If you go to
from a
the
high
bottom,
quality human being.
That's right. If you go to the bottom of our YouTube page, there's a list of a bunch of these content creators that we love and that we like to collaborate with, and Sparky's is on there. So if you want to check out Sparky's channel, the Nintendo Hub, you can do that. And then, as always, the celebrity Triforce tier patron,
the incredible. I mean, this you talk about fine looking men. This is the fine looking men among fine looking men.
Yeah,
Uncle Randy.
Of course, Uncle Randy, who, by the way, just got a interview episode of the $2 Hero Cast exclusively for our patrons. Yeah, YouTube hype.
It happened
here in the chat. Yeah, it happened. We finally made it happen. Uncle Randy and I had a great chat, and people got a huge kick out of it, and it was super fun. Love you, Uncle Randy. Thank you so much for your support. People are super happy to see us on YouTube. Big Steel is here in the chat. So glad you're on YouTube. YouTube hype. Yes, man. Thanks so much for coming out, everybody who's watching us live. But yeah, so no new 5-star reviews this week. But we can fix that. We can make short work of that. Y'all can head over and leave us 5-star reviews to get shouted out at the beginning of every episode over on Apple Podcasts, over on Podchaser, and on Audible, and you can leave us written 5-star reviews that way, and that would be super appreciated. And hey, since we're here on YouTube now, go ahead and like the stream. Like the stream, sub to us here on YouTube if you haven't already. If you're watching this live, we super appreciate that. So thank you guys so much for your love and support. But Eric, what's been going on in your world this week, my friend?
So much, just so much. I love our community of independent developers because we have much more recently been getting a lot of love back from them as well. We have quite a few games that we have been bequeathed
Yeah.
especially in the past couple weeks, that I've been looking forward to playing, and did in fact play through a couple this past weekend. The Spirit and the Mouse. I 100%ed. This is a game that both you and I have been looking forward to. You played the Steam Next Fest demo way back when, and I've got to say, I think this is a pretty easy indie showcase contender at some point in the near future.
Yeah, yeah, it deserves its own discussion. I really love it too. I haven't finished it yet. I've just been swamped this week. I haven't really had a lot of time for games in general, but I played. There's a video here on the YouTube channel
Yep.
of me playing the first like 30-ish minutes or so of the game if you want to get a feel for what the game is, and I really love it. It's like a Chibi Robo kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's funny because like they compare themselves a lot to like Stray, and I can see that.
I can see
But
that. Yeah. You
yeah,
play as this little mouse running around the French village of Santa Claire, basically just trying to help whoever you can. But there is quite an interesting little fantasy aspect to it. Go figure for a game named The Spirit and the Mouse. But it is quite adorable. Honestly, my biggest complaint against the game is that I wanted so much more of it. I really did.
yeah.
I ended it and I was like, oh, they just need more. They just need more.
I need more. It's what, like a 4 or 5 hours?
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. It's not too hard to see the credits, and to 100% the game, honestly, would probably take an extra hour and a half. That's about what it took me. There are quite a few collectibles out there in the world, 130, 140, 37, 47, 37, 137, I think. But they do something that I love it when platformers do this. Like, once you get so many, they have a mechanic embedded in the game to kind of help you track down the
Right.
rest.
Right.
So that's genuinely one of my favorite mechanics in any collectathon, is once you get a certain percentage, once you get enough of them, you get a little
Just
bit of
here's
help
the
finding.
rest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get they don't give them to you,
Mm-hmm.
but they give you some help tracking down the elusive rest of them that you hadn't found yet. Because how many times have you and I played platformers where we gotten like 99 out of 100 of something and
My
spent the
God.
next 10 hours finding the last two?
I'll never forget. So in the first Infamous, I know this is a Nintendo podcast, but Infamous on PlayStation 3, there was a thing called the 349 Club. Because there's like everybody had this problem where there was one final, I think they were called blast shards, and that collectible, and like I found all but one, and I spent probably 10 plus hours trying to find it. Never found it. It's the last trophy I needed. Never found it. Yeah, it still dogs me.
Yeah. So thankfully, the Spirit and the Mouse doesn't fall into that
Good.
trope, and I really hope that they find a way to just add more stuff to this game, because this is just a really, really cool little title.
So charming.
Yeah.
Very charming.
Yeah. I also played Haiku the Robot that came out this past week. A big thank you to the developers for letting us play that. And fair play. I think the game is presented really well. I think the game plays really well. And it's actually really addicting. I almost beat it in one sitting. It's really addicting. But in my opinion, Haiku is the exact, like, it's a perfect example of a game that it's a perfect example of why you at least give your players some type of goal. You at least give them something to do, because you're like, there's an opening, they kind of set the stage for you. It's a post-apocalyptic world, you know, we've been here before. But Haiku the robot wakes up in his little, you know, tube, and you kind of go. The game just basically says, here is a Metroidvania, go Metroidvania it. And it really isn't until about 2/3 of the way through the game where they finally kind of start to tell you a few things. They give you some exposition that almost amounts to an actual goal, that almost amounts to an actual objective, but you're not actually given any type of real hard go do this until literally the final boss. So I felt like I was kind of aimless, despite the fact that the game is pretty well designed in terms of where it kind of wants you to go and where you can get to based on the powers that you have at the time. The game itself is actually really well designed. The problem is I felt like I was just checking a block the whole time. I didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like I was a character doing something. I just
Sure.
felt like I was a video game player checking a block. Here is a good Metroidvania that I just played. I didn't feel like I was really engaging with the story. You really don't learn anything about the character
That's
that
a
much.
bummer. Yeah.
So a lot of really interesting things, but narratively, it's just so incredibly lacking that for me it really dulled the whole experience. There's several NPCs that you interact with that I kept going back to them because I kept saying to myself, like, that's not the end of that interaction. The way you interact with them really feels like there's more to that character's arc, like there's more to that interaction and what you can do with that NPC. But sure enough, no. There are several, I don't want to say several, there's a couple little side quests that you can take part in, a couple little things that you can do for a couple of the NPCs, but they don't really amount to much either. There was a couple NPCs that I did something for that I kept going back to see, is like, really, that's it? I did this thing and that's the end of the interaction. So that, and there are a couple places where the placement of the platforms was kind of odd and not really intuitive. Once you become more powerful,
Mm.
it they're a little bit too close together, and there were a few parts in the game that are just kind of frustrating to kind of scale back up. But there's a lot of really good stuff here. Really good stuff here. Like I said, I really like the way the game is presented. The kind of minimalist color palette they take with each biome, I think, is really intriguing. It feels like there's only 5 colors in each biome. Uh, the character designs themselves are perfectly fine, aside from the fact that, again, Haiku just doesn't really feel like he has any personality or really any character whatsoever. I love the environmental design. The environmental designer in Haiku needs all the raises, though.
I think it's just the one guy. I think it's a solo dev, isn't it?
I I
I
know
think
there was
so.
a lot of I know there was a lot of people in the credits. I know there
Yeah.
was a lot of people from. I mean, kickstarted games are going to have long
Sure,
credits,
sure, sure. Yeah.
um, but it did seem like, I mean, there he got some help in at least a few
Mhm.
aspects. But I really, really, really like. There is some really, really good stuff in this game. I know I'm throwing a lot of reallys in there, but there's some really, really good stuff in this game. But there's a few things that, unfortunately, because they're so lacking, really dulled the experience for me.
Hmm. I gotta check it out.
Yeah, yeah,
Again,
absolutely.
we really we were given that code, and I just have not had the time to play it. But it's on the to do list. In fact, I want to try to have a video out within the next couple of days to play that. That's on my to do list for coming into this weekend. So,
Yeah, and I also beat the Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series, so
oh, good.
that was one that I was looking forward to for a long time. Got the physical from Play Asia, so I
Hmm.
played through Klonoa 1 this past weekend, and then I played through Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil,
Something like that. Yeah.
something like that, over the course of the week. So, in addition to that, actually still trying to do a couple other things in a couple other games. There's just too much. There's actually too much. I want to play Monster Hunter. The second update just dropped. I want to go back into Splatoon 2. There's so much to play, Seth. But what have you been playing?
Not a lot. I'm glad you've been playing enough games for the both of us because it's not been a lot. I've made a few video. I've done the Justin
Yeah,
Masson game sampler thing this
yeah.
week is what I've done. So like I probably put like 2 hours into the Spirit of the Mouse, and I again really enjoying it. Agree with everything you said. I we this was really cool. We got a code for Nier Automata,
Yes,
the
yes.
End of Yorha edition, very graciously from Square Enix. Big thanks to Square Enix for letting us check that out. That was really cool.
I will
And I
definitely be doing that this weekend.
Yeah, I made a video for the YouTube channel kind of showing that off. So if you're curious how Nier Automata runs on the Nintendo Switch, that video is up on the channel, and that was a lot of fun. And the game is still great. Like love that game. It was one of my favorites of the last generation, and the port on Switch is excellent.
Yeah, a lot of people
Excellent.
are using the words miracle port.
It is one of the best ports that I've seen on Switch. Like they did this thing where like I know that it is I know that it's like lower resolution. I know that it's a lower frame rate, but it doesn't feel like it. Like it feels how I remember it feeling on PS4, blah blah blah.
Well, the
So,
thing is, the visual style, the aesthetics of Nier Automata do kind of lend itself well to downgrading, I guess would be the best way to put it.
mhm.
So just because of, I don't want to say the minimalist, but because of, it does kind of look, let's be completely honest, it does kind of look like a PS4 game, like a Wii U game. Like
Kinda.
there's kind of, I mean, it's
There's
not it's not as technically impressive as a lot of the other games coming out. I mean,
well,
there's a lot of stuff going on,
well. Let me
but
say this though, because the first like hour of the game or so is
yeah,
not at all indicative of some of the things that are in that game. There are environments that are, and the reason people are saying Miracle Port or whatever is because there are some environments in that game that are very open, and there actually is a lot going on. And I think that is kind of where you're going to see more of that Miracle Port. The first hour of the game, yeah, it's kind of like a rote, it's changing up the genre and things a lot, which the game does throughout. But
yep.
um, but the actual, like, if you look at the first hour, you're not looking even a fraction of the scope of that game for sure.
Oh, I want to
Um,
play it.
it's really really good. I love that game. And
Hashtag free game.
yeah, hashtag free game. Yeah. So but there was that. Did a couple of or tried to do a live stream earlier this week on the YouTube channel. Talk about that maybe a little bit later. That got the kibosh put on it. That was kind of funny. And what was really funny was I went to like re-upload the VOD and that got the kibosh put on it as well. So then I said, you know what? I'm just gonna lean into it, and I just made this like 5-minute video where I just chopped up like the stream highlights. And then when it got to the point where I was actually live reacting to the Mario movie, I just blurted out and muted it and just like sped through it, saying, "Sorry, Universal doesn't want you to see me reacting to this." So, so that's also on the YouTube channel. So, but anyway, we'll talk about the Mario movie here in a second. But that was kind of funny. We did our first episode of the new Nintendo Drive, which was cool.
Nice.
We're doing that on Tuesday nights over at the Carpool Gaming YouTube channel, youtube.com/carpoolgaming.
Hi, Sean. Hi,
Um,
Lachlan.
yeah, and that was really cool. I just recorded an episode of Keep Nintendo Weird with Lockleth that y'all
Mm-hmm.
will be hearing next week. So I'll hang on to that for a little bit, but you guys will be hearing more from Lockleth soon. So shout outs to our friend Lockleth. Yeah, I've just been really busy. Doing a bunch of stuff for both the YouTube channel, for Carpool Gaming, and my personal life too. My wife, I basically lost a day having to take my wife out of town to go to the airport, and I have to go pick her up tomorrow night. So just been a lot. I've just been a busy bee this week. That's the long and short of it.
Fair
So
enough. I know when it comes to keep Nintendo weird, I might actually be making an appearance before too
yes,
long.
yes, we've got to.
Stay tuned, bully.
Yeah, we gotta get that figured out too. So, but that's been what's been going on in my world. There's been no shortage of things to talk about in the news this week, my friends. What do you say we talk about it?
Let's put on our indignant gloves. Let's talk about it.
Hey, listen!
So, give us just a couple seconds. We will get to the Mario movie. I promise. I know that's what you're all here for, but we do have to talk for a couple seconds about the absolute dumpster fire that is Activision Blizzard right now.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha. So the reason I'm laughing at them is, as has been very widely publicized, they shut down the servers for Overwatch this past week while gearing up for Overwatch 2. And Overwatch 2 itself is kind of its own dumpster fire, with nobody being able to play games and with Activision confirming that they have been the victim of multiple DDoS hacks.
Mm-hmm.
However, given another headline that came out this past week that has not been as widely publicized, basically this past Tuesday, the National Labor Board, the Washington Post reported that the National Labor Board found Activision Blizzard had actually withheld pay raises from their employees at Ravensoft over the unionization of the company. Karma.
That's basically what it was, right? Just karma for all the bad stuff they've done.
I mean, if Activision, why in the world would you set yourself up, given the state of the company and the fact that you are still combating legions of allegations of inappropriate behavior in one scope? Why in the world would you put yourself in the position? Like, did they not think that the National Labor Board was going to find this out when they were doing unionization talks? Did they not think that they were just going to be able to basically punish their employees that wanted to be unionized?
Yeah, and that's the big, I think, thing that we should make very clear here is that this is not rumors, allegation. Like, these are actual findings from the labor board. Like, this is real. This happened.
Yeah. Yeah, the Washington Post reported the U.S. Labor Board, they said, is like, these are things that are happening, that are real, that we have found, that we have concluded in an official study.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these aren't just allegations. This isn't just he said, she said. And Activision Blizzard, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
What in the world are you doing?
Yeah, well, that Microsoft buyout has not gone through as of yet. So we we're still kind of waiting to see what happens from that. But, we'll see. Hopefully that means good things for that company.
I hope so, because I know they make all the money, but my Lord, do they need a turnaround on their public relations right now. They have got to change the leadership out, because I mean, between everything, I just view the leadership over at Activision Blizzard right now as actual Satan. I mean, you just hear things come out every day and you're just like, who is in charge over there?
Bobby Kotick's not that far from actual Satan, I don't think. So,
It's true. That's true. But at this point, even Satan's got to be like, guys, you're giving me a bad name. You're going to have to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look, like you said, it was sort of karma that Overwatch 2 launched this past week, and it was a total garbage fire. And,
Yeah.
I have no interest in playing that game anyway, but I especially am not keen to support any Activision Blizzard anything anytime soon.
I mean, not that I would have time to play Overwatch, but even if I did have time to play games like that, I would much, much rather throw my time into Splatoon, much rather throw my time into games made by companies who at least aren't maybe possibly allegedly the actual devil.
Yeah, I liked the first Overwatch a lot when it came out. That was like a huge moment. My friends and I, like, we played a lot of Overwatch 1. Overwatch 2, it's free to play and things like that now, but I already have such limited time to spend with it, and I already was apprehensive about it, and now I'm just kind of like, don't care. I'm good. Shame on you, Activision.
Yeah. I wish we weren't constantly given reasons to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are you guys doing? This isn't that hard.
Well, like I said, I wish nothing but the best for the developers that work there and the good people that work there. And I hope that when the Microsoft buyout does push through, hopefully very soon, that will create a better working environment for all of those people, unionized or not.
I don't know. They create enough more bad press where Microsoft may just pull out and be like, yeah, you guys are way too much of a dumpster fire for us to even care anymore.
They want that IP.
I know they do.
Yeah, that's what that's all about. But
I know they do. But
you know,
unfortunately, Overwatch wasn't actually the only game that went offline this past week. We're not going to be on this too long, but for those of you who enjoyed playing Killer Queen, that game also unfortunately went off or is going offline. Is that correct, Seth?
Yeah, it's going offline. I think November 30th is like the final date. They've already this happened as a result of like they were using Amazon's infrastructure, and Amazon announced like, hey, we're shutting this down. And because of that, if they wanted to if they wanted to continue supporting the game, they would have to basically rewrite the entire game, which obviously is not feasible for a small indie studio. They're working on other things. They did say that they're working on licensing rights to try to release the open source so that the fans could just make it work, which would be great. The game is still available to buy, and I believe it also had to be delisted from storefronts too, digitally. You can still get it physically. You can still play the game locally and everything, even after this is shut down, and the game can still be found in arcades, but you're not going to be able to play it online, I believe, as of November 30th. I think that's what that date is, and so that's unfortunate. It's a great game, and so hopefully they can get that all ironed out.
They're trying to right now.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
but we wish the best for that game. Hopefully it can find a new platform to re-online itself. But yeah, again, we know what you guys are here for.
Got to talk about the Mario movie.
It came out. We finally got our first look at the Super Mario Brothers movie coming from Illumination. And we have thoughts. We have thoughts. We have the best takes. Our takes are the ones that you should go with. We have the best takes. Seth, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, sure. I mean, I think, let's let you go first, because I think everybody kind of knows how I feel about it. I live streamed it. Everybody got my raw reactions and stuff like that. So but I have genuinely, I've not even talked to you about, I don't know how you feel about this. So this will be news to me too.
So, first and foremost, I think this is far and away the most money that Illumination has put into their actual animation as we've ever seen. Visually, I think the game
it might as well be a game.
It might as well be a game. Visually, I think the movie looks fantastic. I really do.
Yeah,
I really do. Just the animation fidelity looks really good. Granted, all we really saw was a single scene with Bowser. For those of you who haven't seen the teaser, we saw Bowser and his minions attack the Penguin Kingdom, the Chill Kingdom. I don't know exactly what it's going to be called, but they attack the Chill Kingdom, and Bowser gets, I guess, a Power Star. I guess it's the Superstar. It's the Invincibility Star, but I guess in this context, it's the Power Star. Yeah,
the Power Star, the MacGuffin.
Yeah, the MacGuffin. And then we only briefly see Mario pop out of a pipe, hit a couple of mushrooms, and then get accosted by Toad for a few seconds before we hear basically Chris Pratt's only real line in the movie, or only real line in the teaser. And if I'm being completely honest, I think the direction that Chris Pratt is going with Mario's voice, just based, again, on that line, I think that's the right trajectory. Because, yes, it's going to be a very over-the-top cartoon. However, I think he is going to find, again, just based off a single line, I think he is going to find a balance of, like, there's obviously a little bit of an accent there, but it's not cartoonishly bad. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be like stereotypical bad. A lot of people were thinking he was going to go really over the top with it because he has certainly done stuff like that in the past. I was really worried that he was basically just going to be Emmett in Mario's skin, Emmett from the Lego movie. But it looks like he is actually going to be kind of reserved and kind of balanced. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more from Chris Pratt. In regards to Jack Black as Bowser, also better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
I am really concerned about one thing, though, because at New York Comic Con, where this trailer was premiered, Jack Black spoke about his take on Bowser, and he did speak about, rocking out. He did say that Bowser was more musical than. I like Jack Black. I do. But this is Bowser. This is not Jack Black putting on a Bowser suit. This is supposed to be Bowser. And I just really, really hope that throughout the course of the movie, it doesn't just become Jack Black in a Bowser suit.
Well, the thing is, and I think that quote that he gave is really interesting, because the rumors like leading up to this movie is that it is a musical. And of course we didn't get a sense of that in this trailer, because this trailer was, I mean, it was practically nothing. It was like you got a sense for the tone, you got a look at some of the animation, you got to hear Jack Black as Bowser, you got to hear Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, you got to hear Chris Pratt, again, all of this very, very, very brief. I think it's 2 minutes and 25 seconds of footage. And of course we got to see Luigi there at the end, but we didn't really get to hear him say anything either. So
yeah, he had better things to do.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he was a little bit busy. But like it's interesting if this does wind up being a musical, which now, hearing these rumors leading up to this, but then hearing the way Jack Black talks about it, I sort of am like, well, maybe this is why they got him in the first place, is because they need somebody that can sing. Like, I mean, Jack Black's a musician. Like, people, people don't like to acknowledge that side of him. They think of him as just a strictly, he's the funny fat guy or whatever, but he's a rock star.
I still see him as one half of Tenacious D. That's how I see him.
He is. The dude is a rock star. And like when you saw him at New York City Comic Con, like just getting up on stage and just like chewing the scenery apart, taking the veil off of a throne, and he's being Jack Black the rock star, and like, so I think there's probably a danger of that, but I will say that, like, given everything we've seen, I thought I was gonna hate this, like, full stop. Like, I can't. You can literally watch the stream. I'm like, somebody's gonna like twerk or fart or something. Like, this is gonna be a Minions movie. I was waiting for that, and I was surprised at how much like care there is and respect there is for the source material, because like this movie's got such a hard job. It has to appeal to kids. It has to be like their Mario. Like, Chris Pratt has to be their Mario, but it also has to appeal to old farts like us who grew up with this stuff, So this movie has really an impossible job, and the fact that it is doing it, even just based on the footage we've seen, even close to as well as it is, I think really should be commended. I can't believe that I was this impressed by the movie. I thought I was going to hate it more.
I talked on the show last week about how concerned I was because of how so easy it would be for this movie to really mess things up, because amazing video game based movies is not a sentence that we've really had the opportunity to say more than maybe a couple times based on your preferences.
Yeah.
This is a movie, an animated movie based off of a video game. There's every reason in the world this should have stunk. But my one shining light was knowing that Miyamoto was basically just staring over their shoulders the entire time, saying, no, that needs to be better. No, that's not right. And I'm sure there was a lot of back and forth. It wouldn't surprise me if there were some aspects of this movie that didn't go through literally dozens of iterations and dozens of drafts before Miyamoto says, okay, it's good now.
Well, I mean, they delayed the movie was supposed to come out this year. It was supposed to come out in December. They delayed it to April. I mean, the movie, they're taking their time with this because I think they know that they have got a lot riding on this movie. Like, let alone the standard things like merchandise and whatever, like that's huge in itself. But like the theme park is going to be tied to this, especially with the collaboration with Universal and everything. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we saw the video games begin to tie into this.
Super Mario Brothers the movie, the game.
I could see that. Like I could see.
Absolutely.
I actually think it would be kind of cool.
I do too.
Something that I would actually really like to see is if they did a 2D Mario following like the plot of the movie, like a 2D Mario game, but looking, sounding, and feeling like the movie. Like I think that'd be kind of nice because 2D Mario's kind of needed a new flavor for a while. It'd be kind of great.
Yeah.
So
as long as I don't have to listen to Chris Pratt talk about how much he loves Nintendo games anymore.
Oh my god.
Now, I just want to put what I just said into context. I'm not here to gatekeep. I am like, if you unironically love something, that's perfectly fine. Not everybody has lived and breathed Nintendo games for their entire lives. Not everybody is as well informed. Not everybody is as well researched. Not everybody has been, enraptured. Not everybody has been cocooned in Nintendo their entire lives. That being said, didn't it just feel like he was trying so ridiculously hard?
Oh yeah. My favorite thing was my favorite I saw this video because the memes, even though it was only like 2 minutes of footage, the memes are just flooding the internet. I saw this really good one because they rolled. I was proud of this. I said this during the stream. I'm like, they're probably gonna get Chris Pratt and Jack Black on like a Zoom call, and that's exactly what they did. And Chris Pratt was there. And he's like, yeah, I've been playing Mario since I was putting in quarters for the original Mario Brothers at the laundromat and stomping. And then there's a beat and he's like, Koopas. And I saw this great meme where like you see a QuickTime event come up.
Yeah.
Like he passed the QuickTime event, so he was able to call Koopas to mind. You don't have to sell me on it, dude. You're Chris Pratt. You got the job. Like, you don't have to prove yourself and feel like you have to come out here and trot yourself on the camera and say this line, it's always been my lifelong dream to play Mario, to become Mario, is what he says.
Like I said, if he unironically, truly, unabashedly loves Mario and Nintendo games, fine. But yeah, that whole Zoom call did very much have the feel of, hello, fellow kids.
Dude, nobody on planet Earth has had the lifelong dream to become Mario. Nobody on planet Earth has that dream. I'm sorry. Like, I literally am just like, no, it isn't. Like, he said that and I'm just like, that's just not true. What a bizarre thing to say. Q here in the chat here live on YouTube says something that is I think salient and kind of funny. When I learned Chris Pratt was going to play Mario, I totally was thinking it was a live action Mario. You can't imagine my disappointment when I found out that wasn't true. And I bring this up only because I've seen a lot of people online speculate that it's going to be like Chris Pratt in live action then becoming Mario in like a weird I don't think that's what's happening. That's not what's going to happen. It's going to be, however, I do think the movie is going to begin in Brooklyn, New Donk City, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've already basically written this movie in my head. I won't go into the full details, but I think it's going to open
you and everybody else.
Yeah. It's going to open in New Donk City. There's going to be, a Captain Toad. It's Captain Toad. Like, they're not going to call him Captain Toad, but he's Captain Toad. He's got the backpack. He's got the little patches for all the different kingdoms. Peach is going to send him out after the inciting incident with Bowser, where he's going to these kingdoms and stealing the Power Stars. Peach is sending Captain Toad out to look for a hero to come and stop Bowser. At some point, probably Peach's castle is safeguarding a Power Star. Bowser's going to kidnap her, and hilarity ensues. And then it's going to become a thing where, the Mario Brothers are known throughout the kingdoms, I think, due to, like, an incident with Donkey Kong. I think that's how DK is going to be. I think they're going to have that history there of Mario, DK, Luigi, the Wrecking Crew, Foreman Spike, who we already know is in the movie.
Foreman Spike, yep.
They're going to tap into all of that there in the beginning, and then that's going to build the reputation for Mario and Luigi. That then is how Toad finds them and brings them into the Mushroom Kingdom. Clearly, both of them ending up at two different points in the Mushroom Kingdom. Because Mario comes out and he's like, oh, surrounded by rainbows and mushrooms, and Luigi is not in that kind of environment.
No.
He's alone in a different environment. And that's how I think it's going to go.
Although there is a slight chance that scene is from further on in the movie.
It's possible.
But
But he's alone, and I don't know why else he would be alone. But who knows? Who knows? That's just speculation.
It's Luigi. They had to put him in a spooky situation.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what this. I mean, it was a teaser, right?
Exactly.
And really, it needed to illustrate tone. Like that was the entire point. It was like, let's show you what the movie looks like. Let's show you what some of these voice actors sound like, and let's illustrate the tone, the humor. And I thought it was funny. Like I thought the stuff with the penguins when they're like, I'm like, that's a cute little gag, and Bowser's
so
just
great.
like, whatever, they're throwing the snowballs at him. It was cool to see like penguins that we all know from, Mario 64, Mario Galaxy, Mario Party,
Yep.
And it all just looks really good and sounds really good. And I was just like surprised the whole time, just surprised.
Shout out real quick to Andre Seegers and Game Explained. They actually did a very good
That was
re-edit
cool.
of the teaser using old Mario Brothers sound bites. It is really, really good. I very highly recommend checking out Game Explain's re-sound edit of that Mario Brothers teaser. It's so funny to the point where like they even used like the camera shifting position sound bite, the sound effect from Super Mario 64. Even they used that to great effect. It was chef's kiss, Andre. Very nice.
We got to see more. Like that's the thing is I wanted to see
more.
But
I want to see more. That's the thing.
Yes.
I want to see more now.
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really concerned. Basically, all of my concerns at this point have already been alleviated. Yeah. Now, it still could come out and it still could be bad. But at the very least, we know it looks good. We know the characters look the way they're supposed to look. I have seen a few people that said they're not really sold on Mario's face yet. Fair enough. It is a little bit different take, but we knew that was going to happen.
He's giving Fix-It Felix a little bit, for sure.
Yeah. But I think this movie looks about as good as it really could.
Mm-hmm.
And just based on that teaser, I do think that Chris Pratt is taking the right direction. I do think based on what we saw, I really hope that continues, that Jack Black is taking the right direction. And I'm hoping that because of that, that means the voice director is making sure that everybody else is on point as well. I'm sure there's going to be a couple really over-the-top characters. I could definitely see Charlie Day doing that with Luigi, but I think that would be okay considering that Luigi is kind of erratic anyway. And I'll admit, I didn't think I was going to like Keegan-Michael Key as much as Toad, but I thought he actually did a very, very good job in the couple lines that we heard from him.
Yeah, and I think something we need to keep in mind with these characters before we come to these sort of like, jump reactions of hating them or whatever, is that you have to make these voices sound palatable in a 2 hour and a half, 2 hour movie. Like, you can't just have the shrill voice of Toad carry an entire film. Like, that's just not gonna work, sound good. You don't want to hear that. And like, we love Charles Martinet, but I don't know if his normal Mario voice would be what I want to hear for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like
I have seen a lot of people be like, oh, the French edit, the Brazilian edit, and look into the voice actor for Mario from those. Like, that's the one we should have gotten. I was like, is it though?
Yeah. And another thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because another thing that I was thinking about was, I wonder if, because we love Mario. He's a classic character, of course, but like, you are starting to get into that like stereotype kind of thing, right? And I wonder if that's not okay in 2022. I wonder if Nintendo is trying to kind of steer away from that a little bit of like, are we really still going to have this like Italian stereotype to show these kids in 2022? I'm not saying Mario's racist or whatever, right? But like, I just wonder if Nintendo is cognizant of that, if that's like a conscious choice to be like, maybe we should kind of steer clear of that a little bit. I don't know.
I can see that.
I don't know. We do know that Charles Martinet is somewhere in the movie in multiple roles. He's going to have surprise cameos, plural. I'm really hoping it's Wario and Waluigi. And this was another interesting point, because I like this movie more the more I mull on it. And I was like, the whole time I'm just waiting. I'm like, there's going to be a bad poop joke or fart joke for the kids or whatever. And I was like, at some point, they're going to have a character that does that. And what better character to do that than Wario?
Than Wario, yeah.
If they bring Wario in and that's the character to do the little fart jokes for the kids that I've been dreading, I'm like, oh, actually, that's kind of the ultimate perfect character that they could have their cake and eat it too. You know, it's kind of brilliant. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but
somebody said Danny DeVito as Wario and Willem Dafoe as Waluigi, and I need that to happen now.
Yeah. Nordic here in the chat says the French, Brazilian, Italian accent was too strong for the character. So I do think that Chris Pratt's going to take a lighter touch with that. He does still have clearly some sort of an accent, right?
Yes.
Even though we've only heard him say really like 2 complete sentences. So but still, yeah, I'm impressed. I didn't think I would be impressed. I'm genuinely impressed.
Yeah. So it's just a teaser. We still have much more to see, but we finally got our initial reactions to the Super Mario Brothers movie. And fair play, Illumination, fair play, Miyamoto. It's looking really good.
It is looking good. I'm glad you think so too. I was nervous you didn't like it because we hadn't had a chance to talk about it.
No, we didn't. We specifically wanted to save this until now. Like I said, I just really, my biggest concern just coming out of the teaser was that Jack Black doesn't go full Jack Black.
Yeah.
You know, that he still remembers he's trying to play another character that's not him. Like he can do that with Poe. Yeah, he can do that with Poe and Kung Fu Panda. He can do that with Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny and the School of Rock and all these movies. But to his credit, I think he actually did a really, really good job in the Jumanji reboots.
Yeah.
And that's the Jack Black that I was really hoping for. So it looks like we may get kind of a mix between the two. We'll see how much he does try to chew, though.
He definitely has that kind of like unhinged, like especially in that shot where Bowser gets the Power Star and just the way they've animated him and like the who's gonna stop me, you know, like he's very like kind of like almost manic energy, and I kind of like that. I kind of hope that we just see Bowser truly evil, like truly like kind of, you know, getting this kind of manic power hungry vibe. I'm hoping that's what we get from Bowser.
How did they actually make Bowser look a little like Jack Black? How did
they did? They managed to do it.
How did they? He still looks the way he should. He looks.
I
like
wonder
Bowser.
If there's mocap. I wonder if they motion captured his face. They may have.
I could see that.
I could see it.
But I mean, he looks like Bowser, but he also still kind of looks like Jack Black. Like,
they nailed it.
How do you pull that off? That's impressive. The animation in this movie alone,
it's great.
Is going to be worth watching it for. But
I'm excited.
Yeah,
dude.
so I am too. I really am. Cannot wait for the first quote unquote trailer. This was the teaser. Cannot wait for the first proper trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie. Still slated to come next April. I wish you and I could see that together.
You never know. Maybe, you know, who knows where we'll be in April.
Exactly.
Maybe we can pull that off. Yeah.
Maybe we will. But that's actually not the only thing that happened. More so than the Activision Blizzard dumpster fire, more so than us just getting our very first look at the Super Mario Brothers movie. There's a couple other things that happened this past week. We actually got a nice, big, proper, meaty 15-minute look at next month's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. A lot of stuff we kind of already
That is next month, isn't it?
A lot of stuff we already knew. They went over all the different 3 paths, the 3 stories that you're going to be able to play through, but we did get some new information, and some of it's interesting, some of it is kind of okay, but let's go ahead and start breaking it down. We did get, I think the new Pokemon is probably going to be the biggest headline coming out of this. We got, and I'm actually really excited for this because I was a huge fan of Girafarig back in Gen 2. I'm very excited to see Regigaraph?
Something like that.
Regigaraph.
I think it for Jiggaraff, I think. I'm not 100%, but I like it too. I think it looks cool.
I do too. Also, apparently going to be normal and psychic. They also brought up 2 new Pokemon abilities that it's going to have that I think are interesting. One is basically if you have a berry attached, it's called Cud Chew. Right. Something like, you know, cows do, like
yeah.
So if you have a berry, it eats the berry, but it also eats the berry again the next turn. So if you have a really powerful berry on it, like a citrus berry or something, it'll heal the 30 HP, but at the end of the next turn, it'll heal another 30 HP. In addition to that, one really, really interesting new ability that it's going to have is called Armor Tail, which completely negates priority moves. They specifically showed off it negating Sucker Punch, but I think priority moves, I think two of the most famous moves in the franchise, Quick Attack and Extreme Speed.
Right.
If he has an ability that can straight up say, no, you can't use Quick Attack or Extreme Speed, that is a ridiculously good ability.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
If that falls into the quote unquote priority moves, which it absolutely should, if that character can just say, nope, you can't Quick Attack anymore, like that may be in my main party.
It's a great point. Certainly for the competitive scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, Quick Attack since Gen 1 has been one of the most famous moves in the franchise. You see that move constantly throughout the series from Gen 1 up through, presumably, they're going to use it a lot here in Gen 9 as well. But having an ability that just straight up says, no, you can't use moves. I mean, just if it said your opponent can't use Quick Attack, that alone would be enough for me to use it. But negating Sucker Punch, which has gotten me several times in the past, that attack has gotten me, especially knowing that it's a dark type, which is good against psychics. Having a psychic type Pokemon that can negate a dark type attack, I think this Pokemon is low-key going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know, it was funny, we maybe unintentionally saw some other new Pokemon there in that trailer, which is kind of funny. They're in the mini map, which I have to assume that was not intentional.
I don't think it was either.
Yeah, but the internet got a hold of it. It was already too late.
that was the biggest headline coming out of it, so I don't think it was intentional, but I think it really helped the trailer. I think it really helped the basically the hype cycle and the marketing for the game.
Certainly,
because you've created mysteries, you've created more questions. It looks to be, the minimap looks to be right outside the main school area, so presumably these are going to be very low level Pokemon anyway.
Right.
And one of the Pokemon on that minimap is very clearly a Rookidee, which is a low level Pokemon anyway. So I imagine the Pokemon that we're seeing are going to be very beginning of the game style Pokemon. And you and I had the exact same thought, and I'm sure we weren't the only ones, but one of them absolutely does look like the Rock Mushroom power up from Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah, it definitely does. I wonder if this has something to do with what's that one that they just recently showed, that rock crab?
Cloth?
What's it called? Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with that, because it kind of looks like a salt rock. Like, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it, like a salt rock kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know.
The bird that they showed almost looked like it could be kind of a cousin to Chatot or something.
Yeah, it's like a parrot, like a macaw looking thing. Yeah, looks kind of cool. And then we just got like just a white lab mouse.
Just a mouse.
Just a mouse, just a normal looking mouse.
And I'm sure it's going to be a normal type.
Yeah,
but that's one of the most.
Maybe it's like an ice type. Maybe it's like an ice mouse or something.
I don't know. Possibly.
Could be.
I mean, that would be something to make it more interesting, because the character design for it looks like the most boring character design that I've seen in a long time from Pokemon. So I do hope that that's the case.
Yeah.
But I mean, in addition to these new Pokemon, we'll have to wait and see more on that. They have, for whatever reason, completely rejigged the whole camping system from Pokemon Sword and Shield. They now call it a picnic. A picnic, and instead of curry, you're going to be building sandwiches. There's an entire mechanic and system in place in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet just to drag and drop sandwich.
Huge downgrade. Bread. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it really is.
I prefer curry. I prefer curry as a food. I prefer curry as a mechanic. Huge downgrade. I'm just going to say that.
I think it is too. I saw that and I was just like, why? And then a lot of people made the good point that, that's ham. Is it Lechonk?
Yeah, it was funny. We were kind of saying that we saw the sandwich shop in that last trailer, and I didn't think at the time that sandwiches would be like a big deal in the game, but I guess they are. Sandwiches are a thing. Like, yeah, okay, sure. Why not?
But you can do quite a bit more at the picnics aside from just decide that you don't want to make sandwiches. You can scrub your Pokemon, and the brush is actually a Mareep, which is amazing.
That is great. Yeah.
I love that. Just like in the camp in Pokemon Sword and Shield, you can throw this ball out for Pokemon and they can play with it. It looks, I mean, it's camping by any other name.
Yeah, it's cute. Yeah.
I just feel like it's, like you said, I do feel like it's a pretty marked downgrade from what we got in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So
yeah, and I guess I guess Pokemon will just lay eggs in your picnic basket now.
Apparently.
From time to time.
Apparently, just randomly, you can find Pokemon eggs in your picnic basket. Like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Like, you have eggs in a picnic basket. The danger of that just being cracked open into a skillet or something.
Oh, gosh, yeah. That sounds awful. Crack a fried egg on your sandwich or something.
That was my first thought. I was like, that is the worst place to hide an egg.
Oh,
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But apparently going on picnics would be a good way to find Pokemon eggs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Again, that's really weird, but okay.
Sure. They showed they showed a lot of new, like we knew that there would be like player customization and things.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see that like there's a lot. Like I think the most detailed character customization we've ever seen in a Pokemon game. And like selfies, you can pull out your camera and take like selfies and whatnot, which is going to be great because you can do co-op and stuff.
Of course. Everything's got a photo mode and its own social media friendly, accessibility options and everything like that. It does look really cool the way they're implementing it. So, maybe I'll do some stuff with that. Maybe they'll have like some sticker options like they did with new Pokemon Snap.
That'd be great.
That'd be really cool. I would like that. A couple small things. I did notice, I don't know if this specific fact has been confirmed. I think you said that it had been, Seth, but I do want to say that if you were still wondering, they did say specifically in this trailer that any Pokemon can have any Terra type.
Yes. Yeah. Any Pokemon can have any Terra type, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's, that's a big deal. And they did, was it Terra Blast?
Exactly. Yes.
That is a new piece of information, is the Terra Blast.
Yeah. The Terra Blast is a new Pokemon attack, which will actually change typing based on your Pokemon's Terra type. And for those, if you been kind of living under a rock, you don't know what the Terra type is. The big new mechanic, the big new gimmick with battles here in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is the fact that Pokemon can become basically glass statues of themselves. They can terrestrialize and become a new type. And apparently any Pokemon can turn into any type. One interesting thing is it appears it's just a single typing. So a dual type Pokemon would gain a single typing. I wonder how that could play into strategy.
Yeah, that's what intrigues me. I feel like this game low key. I mean, just think about some of the things we've mentioned already. Between like the options that Terra typing can give you, between some of the abilities like the one that you shouted out earlier, there's like a lot of interesting competitive options with this game. I think that's really cool, especially coming off of Pokemon Legends Arceus, where there was no competitive scene. It's kind of cool that like they're really throwing the competitive Pokemon players a bone with this one.
And you can actually fight Terra type Pokemon in the wild.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a specific Pokemon with a specific Terra type, it looks like you can actually hunt those as opposed to just catching 20 billion Jigglypuffs waiting for the water type that you want to get.
Right.
So that'll be nice.
Yeah, and it was great to see too, which we already knew this, but you can of course go into Terra raid battles with your friends, and it was great to see that in action because blessedly you don't have to wait your turn.
Yes.
If your Pokemon faints, you're not just useless. You can actually like,
Just
cheer on and
cheering
heal.
on.
Yeah, yep. So that's a huge improvement over what we had in Sword and Shield.
Yeah. We also saw the trainer kind of interacting with one of the Pokestops out in the wild,
Yes.
specifically in regards to the TMs. Now, the way the TMs are going to work in this game is you're essentially going to be able to teach your Pokemon moves at one of these Pokemon centers directly. You'll probably also be able to buy TMs directly and use them out in the field, but you can actually use the Pokestops as at basically move tutors, essentially.
Right.
But you have this new currency in the game called League Points that you're going to use for this and presumably other things in the game now as well. In addition to, I assume the standard money is coming back. What is it, Zinni or?
I think that is it just like Pokecoin or something like that?
Bucks or something.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
But we saw a trainer interacting with that, and I've got to say,
Pokemon dollars. Sorry, I just looked. Pokemon dollars.
Pokemon dollars. Wow.
Yep.
I wonder what Pokemon is on the Pokemon dollars. That would actually be an interesting question. Like, what's on the $1 Pokemon dollar? What's on the $5 Pokemon dollar? What's on the $100 Pokemon
Whenever
dollar?
we secure that interview, remember that with like Mr. Ishihara.
I'm actually really curious to know that now.
Anyway.
But anyway, I've got to be honest. I am not somebody who prioritizes graphical fidelity when I look at how much I enjoy a game.
Right.
That being said, there were some noticeable moments in this game that looked, frankly, bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is unfortunate. And one of the worst things is we've seen a lot of Switch games, especially games that are really pushing the system. You have those frame drops from elements that are out in the distance.
Right.
That's fairly standard. We got that a lot in Xenoblade Chronicles. You get that a lot in Monster Hunter Rise. So for creatures or assets that are off in the distance, you can see kind of like that noticeable frame drop. But in the American version of the trailer, during the Grass Gym trial, you're being surrounded by a bunch of Sunflora. The Sunflora in the American trailer were running at like 8 frames a second.
Yeah, it was rough. Now
they
it's
were
interesting.
Right next to the trainer. Yeah,
you
go
say
ahead.
The
I know.
Trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's because I think it was Austin John pointed out that in the Japanese trailer, which seems to be running on a more recent build of the game and had already cut out those leaked like icons on the map or whatever. So that seems like a more recent build of the game, and the Sunflora running smoothly in that trailer. Like, it's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't get that trailer, but
I don't know why either, because it seems like it would have been a fairly easy fix to fit the new version of the trailer in with the sound editing that they wanted to go with for this.
It's just voiceover, really.
Exactly.
It's just, quick voiceover.
Like that's literally all you need to do. Just go into your editing software, just remove the video file, keep all the audio.
Yeah.
Keep all the audio. Just put the new video file in. That's literally all they had to do.
I don't know. I mean, look, who knows what goes on behind the scenes, but I mean, yeah, I don't know why we got this version of that trailer when other regions got what looks to be, and so that does give me hope that the final build of the game that we're going to get next month is going to look like it did in that trailer. Now, that being said, you're still running into the limitations of the Switch hardware, especially in a big open world game like this. And to be honest with you, this was a feeling I had when starting Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like, when I first got into Pokemon Legends Arceus, I said, wow, this looks bad. And like, I'm not a graphics guy, but holy moly, this looks bad. That said, after a couple hours, and I saw the game in motion, I kind of got used to it. It just kind of melted away. Yeah. And I kind of expect that that's going to be my reaction to this.
I hope so, because same as you, I just talked about the Sunfloras. There were some textures in that trailer also that looked bad. They really did. Very noticeably, the gate at the Team Star hideout looked like it genuinely looked like it hadn't finished rendering yet.
Yeah, the pop-in's bad, like the frame rate for some of the, like we got that shot of the windmill, and I mean it's
The
two
windmill is
frames a
like
second. It's like it's
exactly.
rough.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see, man. Here's hoping the game. Hopefully that was an old build that they built that trailer off of. For whatever reason they showed us that. But here's hoping. I have high hopes for this game, and it was
I do
cool to
too.
see more of it.
I do too. And Pokemon is not a franchise that's known for its technical prowess or its graphical fidelity. Never has been. I mean, the vast majority of the core games have been on handheld systems, for heaven's sake.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in 2022, it is getting harder to defend stuff that just straight up looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do have high hopes for the game. I still know it's going to be fun, but we got to call it like we see it.
If nothing else, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So that's coming November 18th. Ironically enough, not the only Pokemon news we got this week, actually.
No, we all knew this was coming. With the second they announced 3-way Splatfests, we knew this was coming. And sure enough, they're pulling the trigger on it very soon, which we kind of also knew was coming because Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is coming out next week. But yes, they are doing the starter type 3-way Splatfest. What team are you? Water, fire, or grass? I'm putting you on the spot, Seth. What team?
Oh, I'm Team Grass. I'm
Team Grass?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I've always, since day one, I've always been there. There've only, ironically enough, and this was funny, I'd never sat and thought about this. I got into a conversation, I think with Andros earlier today about this. It was Gen 3, 6, and now 9 are the only generations I have not gone grass. So, and in all of those cases, I went fire instead. So, like Torchic, Fennekin, and now Fuecoco.
Fennekin, Fuecoco, yeah.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, I always go grass. I've always been, just since the beginning. I'm just.
So you're a Bulbasaur guy. You were a Chikorita guy.
Yep, big time. Turtwig, like I just
Turtwig and
always resonated with them. Like some of them, they don't always hit. I actually think Chespin is maybe my least favorite starter, just in general. He's just a weak starter, but. That said,
Chestnut looks awesome though.
Yeah, it's there's some weird stuff, but anyway, what team are you?
See, here's the thing. This is the way that I've always played Pokemon, and I think you know this.
Yeah,
the way that I've always played Pokemon is I have always played through to the point where the first opportunity you have to trade Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
I have played through to that. Traded my starter to somebody I know, started up a new file, chose a different starter, done the exact same thing, and then started up my quote unquote true file so that I basically had every starter.
Yeah.
Every time I played through a game. I've done that genuinely since Gen 1. So I've never really chosen.
So you don't have
starter.
Allegiances?
My heart is telling me Team Fire. That's all I can say right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Pokemon that I have a lot of attachment to.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart right now is telling me Fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this could absolutely be a situation where it's a game time decision. Where you get into Splatoon 3. What team are you? And then I'm like, I hover over fire for like 5 whole minutes and then finally like choose water or something.
Right.
I could see that happening. So we'll see, we'll see how my thought process goes out. I am very, very interested to hear what deep cuts arguments for each team are going to be.
Me too. I can't wait for that. And to see if they reference Pokemon specifically.
I guarantee
they
you
must.
They are. Guarantee you they are.
In the official art, even though they aren't asking, because that was another thing, was like I saw a lot of people basing their decisions off of the starters of this generation, while it is tying into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and even though the official artwork does showcase Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley, that's not what the question is. It's fire, water, grass type. So
although we do know what members of Deep Cut are going to be on what teams, though.
Yeah. I mean,
just Shiver, Water, Fry, Fire, and default, big man's going to be grass.
That's got to be what it is, right?
That's going to happen. That's absolutely going to happen.
And they're kind of blowing it up too, because this is coming. This Splatfest is happening on the 11th, so the week before the game comes out, basically the weekend before. They're going to be selling shirts at Nintendo New York store, just like they did.
I want them.
That's
so
really cool. It's cool they're doing that. I saw a lot of people who were worried, like, does this mean we're not getting any sort of October event? I think that we're probably still going to get Splatoween. I just don't think it's going to be a Splatfest. I think it's going to be a separate thing. I think it's going to be treated like a separate event.
I have seen a few people say this is where we're going to get our first big salmon run event, and I could see that
too. Yeah, the big run. I could see that too. Yeah. So I hold out hope. I don't think we're going to have to wait until November 11th to get some new Splatoon 3 event. So, but I mean, this is cool. I mean, like they had to do this, right?
Yeah.
They had to.
This was, I did think it's interesting that they're going this kind of, broad spectrum route. Because they could easily have done one for each generation throughout the course of the lifetime of the game.
Oh, yeah.
But I did think it was interesting that they're straight up doing, like, they're not doing Quaxley, Foy Coco, and Sprigatito. They're doing straight up grass, fire, water. I do like it, though.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm excited, and I know people in the community will be excited to play some Splatoon. I'll be interested. I'm already seeing a lot of people going a lot of different directions. So we'll see where everybody falls, man. But
they need to have themed ink for that one. They absolutely need to have themed ink for that one.
Oh, 1,000% they will. Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great to see. Looking forward to it, man. But we so speaking of things that are great to see, speaking of things that you love to see, we've been kind of waiting on some sort of like NSO update, because we got this big rollout during the September Direct of N64 NSO games that are forthcoming, and we've been kind of just waiting on them to start dropping them. And here we are with one of the weirdest trailers I've seen in recent memory.
This whole thing was weird. Craig forgot to post it, first of all.
Oh, Craig.
Darn it, Craig. I don't know. Craig. That's just my name for whoever was supposed to make sure that
whoever runs the social media.
Yeah, at 9 p.m. Eastern.
It's Craig Bowser. Doug Bowser's nephew, Craig. Craig Bowser.
There's nepotism going on over at Nintendo, clearly. Darn it, Craig Bowser, you have one job. But
Craig Bowser's like, your uncle works at Nintendo? My uncle runs Nintendo. That's Craig Bowser's line.
Exactly. The real villain of the Super Mario Brothers. But no, come 9 o'clock Eastern time standard, Thursday night, came and went with no, I guess another week with no NSO Thursday.
By the way, I want y'all to know, Eric and I have developed this like non-verbal understanding whenever, because normally we're together either chatting or we're recording something for All In or whatever on Thursday nights, and you were like, oh, like what time is it? And I'm like, it's not time yet. And I just knew what you were talking about, because NSO Thursday is just a thing. We just, they're gonna post something at that time.
Well, it took them a few extra minutes. It genuinely feels like, why isn't this live? And then they called whoever was at home, was like, make this live. And Craig, darn it. But sure enough, we finally got. I genuinely cannot believe Nintendo made this trailer.
It's a good trailer. I like it.
It is a great trailer, but the fact that they put so much effort and creativity into, hey, this NSO game is coming to the N64 next week. The fact they did it for something like this blows my mind, but I am 1,000% here for it. Tell them what we did.
I was going to say, Seth. We haven't even said what it is yet. It's Pilotwings 64 is coming next week on the 13th to NSO N64 app. And it is, I actually think that it's the Rodan voice actor from Bayonetta. I think it is. That, yeah. Like I've listened to them side by side. I haven't seen confirmation, but I think it's the same voice actor. And he's just doing this kind of Barry White sort of vibe, narrating, sultry, soulful, all about just real slow, breaking it down for Pilotwings, and it's. Have you ever wanted to ride a jetpack? Go up high. Yeah.
And then he'd say a line and someone would just kind of come underneath his audio and just kind of whisper something.
Right.
It's like, Have you ever wanted to shoot missiles at a giant robot? That's oddly specific.
That's oddly specific.
But it was so funny. It was hilarious. You've got to seek out the trailer for yourself. I can't
It's a
believe I'm
great
saying
trailer.
that about a Nintendo 64 game trailer coming to NSO. But yeah, I love the creativity they put into this. I'm just happy that Pilotwings 64 is coming.
Me too.
I've never actually had the chance to play Pilotwings 64. Played quite a bit of Pilotwings. The original Pilotwings
Yeah.
is, of course, on the Super Nintendo NSO already and has been for quite some time. But Pilotwings 64 is coming next week to the Nintendo 64 NSO. And I hope that we get more announcements like this in the future, because the way they took this trailer alone was newsworthy and perfect. And whoever put this together needs a raise.
Agreed. So we're looking forward to that. But Eric, that's something to look forward to next week. What came out this week? Because we got some notable releases.
We do, and we have some big releases from this week. But here, real quick, I just want to shout out, because I myself am a massive Rocco's Modern Life fan. I want to shout out the fact that earlier today, as we were recording this, Rocco dropped in Nick All-Star Brawl.
Have you played him yet?
I haven't. No, I'm
Me
definitely
either.
going to do that tonight. The the sultry call center worker himself.
Yeah. Family friendly show.
Yeah. That's canon, though.
It is canon.
But yeah, Rocco has been added to Nick All-Star Brawl. I don't know if they got the original voice actor back. I really hope they did. I know a couple of the original voice actors have since passed. I'm not sure if it's the case with this one. I hope if not, they were able to get them back.
It's Carlos Azaquari, I think his name is.
The guy from Reno
around.
911?
Yeah, he's still around. Yeah, he's the one
Okay,
that does Rocco's voice. Yeah.
I know a couple of them, but like James Avery, who voiced Shredder,
Mhm.
Uncle Phil himself, he sadly passed, and a couple others have.
Yeah,
So,
I bet they got him back. He's still around and works.
I didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, I love Rocco's Modern Life, and they have just continued. Like, I see you, Nickelodeon. You have continued to work your tails off to make that game better. The extra items that you put in, the stages, the characters, the voice acting you guys wound up putting in. I see you. You guys have put in a lot of work into that game. All the credit in the world to you. I hope we get some more stuff. Based on the end of that Rocco trailer, it looks like we are. So, very, very interested to see what happens in the future of Nick All-Star Brawl. They've also been doing a lot of cross-promotional stuff for this new Nickelodeon kart racer that's coming up. And I hate to say it, after playing Nick All-Star Brawl a little bit, I kind of want to try this new kart racer.
Kind of want to check it out. Apparently the second one was decent. I'm interested. I wouldn't be opposed to checking it out.
Be worth checking out. But that is certainly not the only thing that dropped this past week. You know, Seth's already talked about it. Seth's already played it. Nier has come out.
Nier Tomato.
Nier Tomato. Nier Automaton.
Yes.
Nier Automata. No, of course, I'm being an idiot. Nier Automata, the Yohar.
End of the Yorha edition. Yorha is like the corporation that you work for, basically, in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one came out. Again, a lot of people are saying the word miracle port. Seth, our very own $2 hero, is liking it quite a bit. I won't put words in his mouth.
Great.
Seth, tell him you're liking it quite a bit.
It's great. And it's like cheap too. It's $40 for a great port of a classic game. Like, it's like, go buy it. I mean, genuinely. And again, I know that, again, huge thanks to Square Enix for giving us the game and letting us look at it. Huge thanks to them. But I would be saying that even if we didn't get access to the game like that. It is that good.
Yeah, I think it's already ascended to classic already.
Yeah, big time. It's a great game.
But speaking of great games, you know, this game certainly didn't used to be great, but it has certainly ascended. No Man's Sky is finally on the Nintendo Switch. The ultimate go anywhere game you can now take with you on the go.
It's true. And apparently that's a really good port too. I've been hearing it just came out today as we're recording this, but but I've heard people say that it's actually a very good port. So, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm looking for. I would really like to play that. I would really like to play that because
can't do
similarly to, I know it's so big now.
I like the original. I liked the original No Man's Sky. I'm the one
broken
person.
version.
I'm the one person. It wasn't even broken. It was just a very different game, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I liked the original version. So
I think the physical is actually all on cart too.
wow, that's impressive.
I think so. I'd have to double check, but I think the physical is actually all on cart, which for a
Wow.
game like that would be staggering.
Yeah, life is strange. What's your excuse? You know.
I do really like that you have in here. I wanted to make sure we shout it out, and I'm glad you have it in here. Wizorb.
Yes. I've never played Wizorb. I really want to. This is a very early tribute game. Tribute Games made this one, and it's only $5, so I'm probably gonna pick it up.
According to them, it's their first.
Oh, their first game. Well, there you go. And it's basically a brick breaker RPG.
Yeah,
Looks
it
great.
looks like if you're a fan of Arkanoid, you're a fan of Breakout. This definitely needs to be on your radar.
For $5, I mean,
for $5,
I'm gonna pick it up. Yeah,
I'm gonna pick it up just to support Tribute Games for all the amazing stuff that they've given us over the past couple of
big
years.
time. Yeah, big time. So
But yeah, I
really
just looked at
cool.
No Man's Sky box art. I don't see a download indicator anywhere on the box art for No Man's Sky. That
That's
is
crazy.
nuts to me.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
yeah, I'm probably also going to play Wizorb this weekend too.
Yeah, for sure. Overwatch 2, I guess, came out. Moving on.
Yep.
Proteus. I want to shout out this game, Proteus. Look this up because this game looks really cool. If you guys don't know what Proteus is, this is a first-person shooter, like a boomer shooter, like a Doom sort of vibe. But I love the visual aesthetic because they've done this thing where the things in the like foreground, like your gun model and everything, look kind of more high fidelity than the kind of more low res elements in the game itself. I don't know if it's a weird thing to describe, but just something about that visual aesthetic looks really cool. My friend Delroy, who's from the Backtrackers, he played through it and he really enjoyed it. He's like, it's a quick, breezy playthrough, super, super fun. He said it's like one of his favorite games of the year, so I would really like to play it.
Nice.
I'm always down for a good, fun, rip and tear shooter like that,
And it seems like it'd be good for this month too. So
yeah, good for spooky season. So yeah, Proteus, look it up. I just that visual aesthetic alone makes me interested in it.
nice. Well, I'll have to check that out. I mean, you guys let us know if you're going to check it out. Let us know whatever you guys are up to this week, and let us know what your thoughts on everything going on in the world of Nintendo are. Reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter at All In Podcast. Come over, join our amazing community over on Discord. We would love to have you. Make sure to follow us and subscribe to youtube.com/All In Podcast, which if you're watching live, you can do right now.
That's right. Please do like the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We super appreciate it.
Yeah, we're going to be here now every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, going down the week in the world of the Big N and all the insanity that inevitably happens each and every week. But if for whatever reason you can't join us Friday nights, you can definitely check out the podcast itself. All In, a Nintendo podcast, which you can find on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, just all the places. And we think once you have checked us out, once you have seen our content, once you have heard the sirens call of our voices, I can do a little Barry White thing too, like that guy from the Pilotwings. Ooh.
Yeah.
All In Podcast, the best variety show.
You're right.
No, please forget we just said that. No, we think you guys should become patrons.
Become patrons. Patreon.com/allinpodcast. We've got 3 tiers over there. Head over there and see what works for you.
Join the tier, the golden banana tier, the Triforce tier.
Tears. We head over there, see what works for you. We've got all kinds of exclusive rewards and perks, exclusive podcasts, that we do over there, shout outs on the show, and all kinds of stuff. Literally making the dream come true with the bones you throw our way. But Eric, you know, they can, if they don't have any bones to throw, they can still support us.
They can still support us, although you definitely should become patrons. We did a fantastic side quest this past week on games journalism. Ironically enough, the day before Mario Buttgate.
Yeah, the day before Mario Buttgate. But you can support all of the Mario Buttgate completely for free by dropping some words. Over on Apple Podcasts, on Podchaser, and on Audible, you can leave us 5-star written reviews. And on Spotify, you can leave a 5-star rating. If you do so, we will share our appreciation, and we will shout you out here on the show and chisel your review into the eternal rock of All In, a Nintendo podcast. We super, super appreciate that. Very easy and free way to show your love and support for this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stay. Yeah, for those who have dropped words, for those who have become patrons, for anybody who has at any point in the past, 2.5 years supported our show, we just want to say thank you so much. However you've chosen to consume our content or support what we've been doing over here at All In, namaste.
Ta-da! Namaste!
Like a Gregorian chant. Namaste, Pache Amigos.
Oh man, so that's the news, folks. Thank you all so much for coming out. Really appreciate it. Giving us a warm welcome here on YouTube. We'll be back here next week.
Thanks for checking out our first YouTube news stream.
Yeah. It seemed like there was a couple little like hiccups on I don't know what was happening, but overall it seemed to have gone pretty well. The stream never died or got taken down by Universal Studios, so I'll take it.
Better than what we can say for a few things we did this week.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, but this is of course just a taste of the show. The links are in the episode description right down there below. If you're watching us right now, you can click them to the podcast itself. The full episode goes live tomorrow, where we will be having the top 5 teaching moments. I still don't even know how do we word that? The top 5 like teachable moments in Nintendo games, or Nintendo games to use for teaching.
Games. Yeah, top 5 Nintendo games you can teach with.
There you go. So we're doing that top 5. That was super fun. We've got a 30-year retrospective on Mortal Kombat.
Yes!
I'm sorry, on Mortal Kombat. So we have that in the show, and we also have a really cool indie showcase, a spooky indie showcase interview with Bryce Boer from Fates in Betula and Mysteries Under Lake Ophelia. So lots of stuff. This is just a taste of the full episode, which releases tomorrow. So again, the links are in the video description to check out the podcast. And hey, that podcast happens every week. You just get to be this part of it is broadcasted live, but there's so much more.
Yeah.
So
every Saturday, a brand new episode, come heck, high water, or actual literal
or hurricane.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you all so much. We will see you next time. Bye.
Have a good night, guys. Have a great weekend.